Hello again, and welcome to How to Be a Killer Queen Part 2. In this video, we're going to talk all things daymap. You'll learn the classic daymap opening, how to recover from a team wipe, how to maintain a team wipe, how to escort and save Snail, how to protect and run berries, and lots of important daymap specific tactics. So let's get started. First, let's do an overview of daymap. Overall, it's a good but punishing queen map. You often won't be under objective pressure, and therefore you can focus on your fundamentals of fighting and gate play. Some key map features. There are two tall columns on each side of the map. Whichever team is controlling these columns will be able to set up pinches on warriors. See here how Gold Skulls is able to bully the entire blue team just by using the tall column. Again, Gold Skulls is able to control the entire opposing team by using the tall column to apply pressure below. Also note, the middle of the map contains all the gates. Therefore, whenever possible, you should try to avoid wrapping, as it's inherently better to go through the middle of the map, tagging gates as you go. Some general tips and things to be aware of. This map has the longest average length. This, along with berries not being meta, means most day maps come down to queen kills. This really means that you should try your best to have good tech skill and make slow, good decisions. The safest place to be on this map is at the top of the tall columns. People often think the safe place to be is the big ledge right below the two hives. However, you often get pinched on this ledge, so if you need a break, just go to the top of the tall columns. And lastly, speed warriors are extremely important on this map. While speed warriors are valuable on every map, they're the most important to have on day and dusk. Therefore, try your best to reform your warriors with speed if you have the time and the map control to do it. Before going further, I want to remind ourselves of the terminology I established in part 1 of this series. Namely that whenever I say you, I'm referring to your team's queen. And whenever I say OP, I'm referring to the opponent's queen. And lastly, CTO is short for chase, tag, oppose, which is the idea that you want to chase OP, tag the gates that she just tagged, and oppose what she's currently doing. This helps you maintain gate control and prevent OP from dominating the map. So let's talk day map opens. So your team is going to attempt to form 2 speed warriors, 1 vanilla warrior, and have 1 snail runner. Let's start with first speed. They line themselves up with the berry patch on the left, form speed immediately, and then go to the warrior gate. I like approaching the warrior gate from the left instead of the right, because opposing military can be in the middle of the map and kill you if things go wrong. It's a little bit slower, but I do think it's worth it. Next is vanilla warrior. They simply drop straight down the tall column, grab the berry, and form at safe gate. They also must be aware of incoming drone bumps if an opposing drone manages to get through mid. Next is second speed. There are 2 possibilities for them, so let's first look at if they form at mid gate. In both cases, they first fall down the tall column, grab a berry, and then try to form mid. If successful, they should attempt to disrupt opposing forms at far gate. Because of the timing, it's possible to stop first and second speed, so this mid form is high value. Now let's see what happens if they don't form at mid. They start the same by going down the tall column and grabbing the berry. If the mid bumps don't result in a form in the first 3-ish seconds, then they go get speed at their speed gate. They then approach the warrior gate from the left and form speed warrior. As for objective, they also have 2 possibilities. First, they can try to help second speed get up at mid by bumping. Notice how they don't go underneath to grab a berry, as they aren't actually trying to get up themselves. Typically, they'll end up dying, at which point they can start riding the snail. Alternatively, they can attempt to disrupt far gate vanilla forms by getting a running start from the speed gate and then jumping over mid gate to land on opposing drones at far gate. As for you, the classic open is to tag speed gates during the countdown timer and then meet OP above mid gate, bouncing until all 3 of your warriors form. There are alternative approaches to this, which I'll be talking about shortly. Also, I noticed that many queens J out of the open to meet OP at mid. This is fine, but I do think it's risky. It's easy to both mess up the J like we see by Gold Queen here, or dive slower than necessary, as we see both queens doing. Therefore, during the open, I recommend walking forward and holding down like we can see Gold Queen here. This will ensure you go underneath the platform and you still have plenty of time to establish on the ceiling before bouncing with OP. The goal of this open is to get Vanilla and Speed Warriors ASAP, while also fighting over the mid gate. If a team manages to get an early mid gate form, they have lots of opportunities for early disruption and a strong advantage. What to watch out for? The most important thing to watch out for is OP immediately diving through to stop safe warrior form. If they dive through, you have two options. The default should be you dive through as well and tag their side gate. If played optimally, you should stop their safe form. After this, meet your drones at the gates. This may mean staying at their side gate or meeting at mid. Importantly, do not tag their speed while crossing over, otherwise you will give up all warrior gates and are in a losing position. An alternative to this default is a bit risky, but you can try to catch them while diving in order to kill them. There is then a third option, but I consider it a misplay. Never follow if they cross during open. Opposing team gets form out of mid and you set columns on yourself. As we can see here, if gold checks had just turned and moved to middle, then the whole entire opening would have gone extremely bad for blue. If you do end up missing your dive punish or accidentally chasing after OP, then a way to save it is by staying at mid and having second speed meet you there to form vanilla. More things to watch out for. OP waiting to dive through to stop first speed. Here we can see Gold Queen bounce out of the open with OP until Blue Skulls gets out of the speed gate, at which point she dives through and tries to deny the form at left gate. Another thing to watch out for, drones getting past mid gate and bumping out your safe. What you should do is what we see Blue Queen doing here, which is turning back and helping her safe warrior get up. It's a bummer, but it's what gold team gets when their drone does a good job. And another, drones forming mid and threatening your safe gate forms. Here we can see blue abs form at mid gate and then immediately pressure the far gate forms. Not only do they stop the speed warrior from getting up, they even get the vanilla warrior kill in the process, which leads to a team wipe. Here we can see when blue abs forms at mid, they opt for queen pressure instead of far gate disrupts. An alternative open to try is try driving through yourself. If you get a vanilla warrior up and they don't, they're temporarily wiped, and this can be easily converted into a winning advantage. We can see Gold Queen do this here. She dives, stopping the mid gate as well as the far gate forms. Blue Queen wasn't ready for this open, and so doesn't stop the gold safe gate form. This leads to blue team being wiped, and gold with a massive advantage straight out of the open. Recovering from Lockout. There are three main ways of getting out of Lockout on day. The first is switching back and forth between side gates. I've sped up this clip, but feel free to slow it down for a closer look. Notice how the queen rotates between side gates when a form attempt fails. Staying at one gate lets the enemy team set up into perfect positions to kill drones or kill you. Constantly switching allows the opposing team to make slight positioning mistakes that can lead to a warrior kill or a successful form. And remember, during Lockout, while your primary goal is to get a form, this often only happens after you kill a warrior first. So, be on the lookout for kills during your gate rotations and gate fights. When switching back and forth between side gates, I recommend going to the speed gate first. Once you're at a speed gate, you now have the following 5 movement options if you want to tag a gate. First is diving directly to the side gate. This takes advantage of the tall column we discussed earlier and is therefore extremely safe due to approaching the gate from the top of the map. We see this classic example here, which ultimately results in a team wipe. Or you can dive to mid gate from above. These two options are the most common choices. However, there are 3 more. you can dive to mid-gate from the middle platform. This option is more of a mix-up, as many queens will assume you're diving directly to side gate when you take this initial path. This lets you cross OP and potentially get mid or far gate forms. We can see just this, as Gold Queen attempts to chase Blue Queen to the side gate, but Blue Queen instead dives to mid gate through the middle platform. You can also dive to side gate from below. This is pretty uncommon and usually only happens when you think you can get a kill during the dive. Lastly, there's going to mid-gate from below. This is the least common, as going below mid-gate is very dangerous, as it's easy to get trapped in there. As we see here, diving to the low mid platform is usually part of an attack, and tagging the gate is more of an afterthought. As we can see, going to the speed gate first instead of the side gate directly during lockout gives you a lot more options. Moreover, because you're approaching from above instead of the side, you're also at an inherent advantage. Another way of getting out of lockout on day is opportunistic pickup forms at mid-gate. We'll be doing a deeper dive into this topic during the tactics section of the video, but suffice to say that mid-gate is dangerous to actively defend as it's far away from the ceiling. Therefore, forms are less common here than at side gate. They tend to happen when you're on the way to a side gate or have shaken their military somehow. Another way of getting out of lockout on day is, while at a side gate, cross through their military and go to mid-gate. This often comes from a well-timed stick or diving under military. We can see Gold Queen do this here by diving under Blue Queen, killing Blue Skulls, and then eventually getting the form at right gate. We can see Gold Queen here get a push-out kill, which is a type of crossing through, in order to get a mid-gate form. And again, we can see a classic maneuver here by Gold Queen, goes under Blue Queen and gets the coordinated pickup form at mid. Performing lockout. Your job is to hold the middle of the map. Ask warriors to get on the other side of the queen, and then cover the high option. It sounds simple, but it's challenging. Note that this is different than plain CTO. The standard lockout protocol is not chasing OP through the wrap, but holding the middle of the map to prevent her from getting to mid-gate. This example from Blue Team is long, but I think it's very instructive. Notice how whenever Blue Queen fights at a gate, she always covers the high option and lets her warriors go underneath to try and stop the drone. This should be your default option. And again, notice how Blue Queen does not chase Gold Queen through the wrap, but instead holds the center of the map, where all the gates are. Here, we can see Gold Queen cover the high option by doing the classic J at the side gate. Then, at future side gate fights, Gold Queen J's in again, which gives her warriors space to deny the form by going low. When timed perfectly, this J is a near guaranteed gate denial with the warrior going low. Besides just denying warrior forms, Jing into side gates allows you to set up a classic pinch on this ledge. Let's look at an example where a queen doesn't do this. Here we can see that Blue Queen lets up on her lockout pressure when she tags a warrior in a speed gate that OP isn't at. While it can feel like you're using your time well by tagging gates during lockout, this is a classic mistake and you need to continue opposing OP. My guess is Blue Queen is scared to fight at a gate when she's on last life, but maintaining the wipe by opposing OP is the best chance for victory. In this case, Blue Queen has 3 warriors, so let one of them cover the side gate and you maintain your lockout pressure. Now, there are times when you want to chase OP through the wrap instead of holding mid. This happens when you're already very close to OP, and doubling back through mid to get to the other side gate would take too much time. We can see Gold Queen make this choice here. Another reason you may want to chase OP through the wrap is because you see a potential sour berry or pinch opportunity with your team. So don't get too regimented in your thinking. There are opportunities for chasing through the wrap when an opponent is locked out. Where to be when their queen dies and all the gates are tagged in your favor. As soon as you get a queen kill, the rule of thumb is to go to the shortest distance from where you are to the enemy hive while tagging as many gates as possible. This is all in service of maintaining gate control. The idea is that we want to start chasing them again, and they're about to respawn at the hive, so meet them where they are so that you can begin chasing. You also want to tag gates along the way to help with the gate control battle. So, hover below mid gate and begin chasing immediately. This can mean immediately diving to the side gate if they go down there, or going towards mid. The first time Gold Queen dies, Blue Queen tags Speed Gate as she can get back to chasing Gold Queen in time. Once Gold Queen dies again, Blue Queen then takes position just below OP's hive. Notice how Blue Queen goes under OP's hive instead of tagging left gate. Remember, you have warriors for a reason. Let them guard the gate while you CTO the queen. This positioning can sometimes net you free kills. How to save Snail. Once the snail is in the net, you must go in the mini net tunnel. Perfect play should result in you losing, but it's possible to hero play down here. Here we can see Blue Queen managed to get a warrior kill due to some clutch drone bumps by her team. Notice how it's hard for Gold Queen to participate as she's on less life. We'll discuss later some options that Gold Queen has in this position. In both examples here, we can see how the defending queen gets a military kill, tags a side gate, and then immediately goes back into the net tunnel. If you can hold the snail one more time and your warrior doesn't die, then you should be through the worst of it. Here's a great example of mirroring OP depending on which side of the tunnel she's on. Notice how Blue Queen switches the side of the tunnel she's holding. This prevents Gold Queen from getting in. Also, be ready to push out or just receive drone bumps. This is true for anyone in the net tunnel. Here we can see Blue Abs get 2 warrior kills from 2 great drone bumps. Also note, it can be okay to have 1 drone running berries. Anything which pulls warriors away from you is good. How to Closeout Snail. Scrape in the net tunnel. This forces OP to hit a perfect J in order to access the snail. Even if they do, this puts them at risks to pinches. Here's another example of Gold Queen going into the net tunnel even on last life and securing the win. If you're on last life, it can be scary to go in the net tunnel, as a bump or shuffle can easily kill you. Therefore, the following 3 techniques can be used to generate pressure. The idea is be on the side of the tunnel opposite the snail. As we can see here, Blue Queen goes to the gold net side of the tunnel. Now, Gold Queen has 2 options. If she stays put to prevent the snail from scoring, then Blue Queen can get in the tunnel and set up a pinch, as we see here. However, if Gold Queen mirrors Blue Queen to prevent this, then Blue wins on Snail. Essentially, there's no good option for the Gold Queen here. You can also try and be a little cheeky and kick berries into the net to create smush opportunities. We can see both Gold Checks and Gold Skulls attempt to do this, and both almost pay dividends with a Queen Smush. Also, use berries on the Snail Rider's back for smush kills. Notice how Blue Abs puts the Snail Rider between them and the opposing warrior. This nets them a free smush kill. And did you see what Blue Checks did there? Rewatch the clip and notice they kicked the berry in the tunnel, which resulted in the final smush kill. And another example of Snail Riders with berries creating smush opportunities. Berries. Berries become less common the more experienced the teams are. With the hive being at the top of the map, it becomes extremely hard to get the last few berries in. However, there are important things to know. The queen is an excellent escort, as the ceiling is just one big ledge. Therefore, besides OP, you are impossible to contest. Therefore, try to get up there and escort berries. Even though gold is wiped and blue is 3-1, gold gets 2 dayberry escorts due to the strength of the queen. Also, berries have a tendency to get trapped in the hive more so than on night map. That's because there's no hole in the hive, as well as the ceiling, which can catch berries in a way that just doesn't happen on night map. These scenarios where berries bounce around in the hive and off of military is surprisingly common. There's also a technique called the barricade, where you hold key points near your hive and run the 2 piles inside the box. Technically, there are 12 berries between these 2 piles, so it's enough to win the game outright. Feel free to mess around with this idea. We can see gold team do this here, securing the 2 berry piles and preventing the blue team from breaking in. It isn't perfect, as blue can usually find a way in when gold slightly mispositions, but this technique is surprisingly strong and worth exploring. If you're on the opposite side and need to ledge guard berries, these are the ideal places to ledge guard berry runners. This only works if you're under no military pressure, but you should be using these spots if they're available. Berry kicks. You can kick berries from ledges across the hive. Blue queen does a nice offensive kick here. Here we can see an example of gold checks kicking a berry into the hive, which the berry runner then runs in. We'll now be discussing common tactics and movement patterns. First, we'll be taking a deep look into side gates. Diving to side gates. First, let's discuss how to get to side gates. As mentioned before, it's best to approach them when diving from the speed gate area or from below the hive, as this gives you the most movement options and is generally safer as you're approaching from above. This is really the fundamental skill of Daymap as a queen. Executing these dives quickly can be the difference between getting a warrior form, stopping a warrior form, getting a queen kill, or escaping pinch pressure. You essentially cannot practice this move enough, as you're required to make this move multiple times on every Daymap. Get close to the edge. Once you're at a side gate, it's important to hold it well. One part of this is getting your character as close to the edge as possible without being vulnerable. The visual cue is the yellow hilt of the queen's sword. If this is behind the edge, then you're safe. Doing this cuts off a lot of options for the enemy team. It's harder for warriors to go under you to kill your drones, as you cut off angles to the gate. Also, OP has to be pixel perfect if she wants to J in. So, be sure to slightly push forward and go out to the edge when you're holding a side gate. Hold side gates from far away. While holding a gate is often necessary, it's best if you can take the fight away from the gate so that they can't kill your drone during the fight. So, if no one is at the gate, but military is headed towards you, put yourself between them and the gate and try to prevent them from crossing you. As we see here, you can zone from very far away, even from the tall columns or under the hives. Your dive is so powerful that it allows you to threaten anyone who goes beneath you. Stacking. When getting a form at a side gate, a warrior can hover directly underneath you to protect the drone and make it so you don't have to come off the ceiling. This technique is called stacking and can be used on any side gate on any map. Hovering near side gates is dangerous. In general, the area just outside of the side gate can be dangerous, as you're floating in open air. Be vigilant if there are opposing military flying around you. With this in mind, let's discuss the following. Mirror OP. Once you're at a side gate, it's easy to let your guard down and feel safe. However, there's still a major threat in the position, which is OP going to the other side of the ledge from you, J'ing in, and then executing a pinch against you. This is extremely common, and you must always keep in mind where OP is when you're at one of the side gate ledges, otherwise this is going to happen to you. To prevent this, you must match where OP is going, which I call mirroring. This prevents her from easily J'ing in, and you won't get pushed out from the ledge into a capping warrior. The most common approach she takes is over the top of the side gate ledge, but OP can also come in through the wrap, so mirror her in this case as well. She can even come from below, so yes, mirror her in this case too. Now, if you're the one executing this move, then this threat requires that you have a warrior who is committed to capping the ledge. If your warrior isn't there, then OP can escape very easily. So, let your warrior know you're wrapping around OP and to get ready to cap. Beware falling drones. It's more than just queens and warriors you need to be afraid of when you're at a side gate. Drones can also fall on top of you and bump kill you. This is especially the case when you're below the enemy's hive, as any drone that respawns is likely to attempt a bump on you. Even when you're under the ledge, they can phase through you when they're intangible and bump kill you. Shuffles. When holding a side gate, you often need to push out against OP to hold your position. However, OP can pull back when you push out, and then kill you when you come off the ledge. This is called a shuffle. Some queens realize their mistake and try to correct it by turning back before coming off the ledge. OP can predict this and punish your turn. This is also called a shuffle. Side gate warrior spawn kills. Beware of warriors spawning out of side gates. They often try to get to the top of the tall column and can easily land on you if you're not paying attention. Get behind side gate queens during respawn. Speaking of spawning warriors, there's also a trick with spawning queens. If you just died and OP is at the side gate below you, you can use your intangibility to go through and behind her, which allows you to push her out into a capping warrior. This also works the other way around, where you can get behind a spawning queen and push her out as well. Lazy J. It can be very hard to execute the J that we see Blue Queen doing here. For me personally, this is the most challenging move in the game that I'm constantly wanting to execute. Luckily, there's another method of executing this J, which is slightly slower but much more consistent to execute, and it's called the Lazy J or Side J. The idea is you land on a nearby platform, run towards the ledge you're trying to J into, tap the button for as short as possible, wait for a half moment, and then begin tapping quickly again. There's more room for error in this technique than the quick J, so once you get the rhythm down, it should be relatively easy to execute. Tag gates when possible. While attempting to deny warrior forms, try to tag the gate if possible. This forces OP to go low to get a form, which gives you kill opportunities, or prevents the warrior from getting up at all. Sour Berry. Beware of drone bumps when you're trying to leave a side gate ledge. If someone is chasing you, then you'll get killed. This type of move is called a Sour Berry and can happen on any ledge, but it's very common to happen here. Beware gate tag punishes. Warriors will try to punish you for tagging a side gate, so take your time and try not to rush it. Pretending to tag the gate can often net you kills against thirsty warriors. Side gate hover transfers. While scraping at a side gate, look out for hover transfer kills to the platform above. Okay, that's enough about side gates. Now, let's talk about mid-gate. Using mid-gate can be challenging. Ideally, you just tag it and a drone uses it later, or you tag it right when a drone gets there to get a pickup form. However, we're not always so lucky, and sometimes we have to fight over the gate. The optimal way to do this is by zoning away opposing military. What I mean by zoning is that you don't actually attempt to kill or dive on anyone, but you simply put yourself between mid-gate and the opposing military, and you threaten that you could dive and kill them. However, this implied attack is often a deterrence enough, and they won't actually try and pop your drone. We can see this in all of these examples. However, these implied threats do need to be backed up by actually going for it some of the time. Ideally, you don't make these strikes often, and instead just zone opposing military away. Now that we've seen what successfully holding mid looks like, let's see how it goes wrong. The reason you don't want to go low on the gate and attempt to defend your drone or go for kills is because the ceiling is very far away, and warriors can easily get above you in a variety of ways. Even if you don't die, it's just hard to successfully defend your drones. Going low to defend the gate makes you vulnerable, which opposing military can use to ignore your zoning. Now that we've talked about mid-gate and side gates, let's talk about some miscellaneous kills around the map. Slow down when pinching. When you have tight columns on a queen, she often tries to escape by diving under you or your warrior. Instead of immediately diving to punish her escape, hold off on moving forward. This keeps your position strong. If she doesn't dive, you maintain your columns without being vulnerable. If she does dive, you'll be in a great position to easily dive on her. Beware diving to wrap. Diving from the speed gate to the wrap is common and can be predicted and punished. Chase wrapping queens. Remember to chase after queens who are fleeing through the wrap if you have a warrior with you. Spawn killing the queen. When you respawn, you're normally intangible for around 3 seconds, unless you happen to be overlapping with someone, in which case you stay intangible until you no longer are intersecting with them. However, there's a perfect pixel where you can both lose your intangibility as well as be overlapping with someone. This means you can immediately die the moment you lose intangibility. You can take advantage of this by chasing after a spawning queen, overlapping with them, and then stop holding forward for 1 moment and then hold forward again to try and exactly hit this perfect pixel. This works both if they just respawned or if you just respawned. This can happen on other maps, but it's the most common on day map. Here we can see it happening on night map. Let's take a moment to enjoy how excited Cody was to get this in Winners Finals Game 5 at GDC 3.
Yeah, gold is now 2 berries away from winning. Oh, good kill by Cody there on the screen wrap. That's the thing I love about night map, those screen wraps.
Cody pulled it out. He gambled.
Very hype right now.
Now that we know common kill tactics, let's talk about areas to avoid on the map. Avoid going below mid-gate. You want to avoid going below mid-gate if possible. It's very easy for opposing military to work together and push you down further and further until you're out of escape options and they get you with a pinch. Sometimes we're forced to go in here, but try to avoid this area whenever you're doing normal chores around the map. Avoid going in big tunnel. Similarly, you should rarely go in the tunnel, even for what appears to be a free warrior kill. It's too easy for things to go wrong and you're trapped with no escape. That said, never say never. If you think you have an escape, you can get easy kills. Avoid going in small tunnel. When doing normal chores, avoid the super small tunnel. There are only two ways to escape here. First is what we see Gold Abs do, which is just walking below a capping warrior. The other option is to go out a little bit and then fly backwards. So that's it. You now have the tools to understand and execute day map at an advanced level. Each game will have unique situations not outlined here, so keep an open mind and have fun with it. In the next video, we'll be looking at night map. See you there, and thanks for watching.